Updating big stories and breaking news in the boxes on the right-hand side of your screen. This ongoing crisis now in Georgia. We have just heard crossing the wires the United Nations will hold an emergency session sometime this afternoon trying to resolve this crisis. We'll bring you more on that. In the middle box, the ongoing saga of Caylee Anthony, missing now for almost 2 months. And now her mother, Casey Anthony, refusing to speak to other members of the family. A couple of jailhouse requests to see her have been turned down by Casey. And before the break, we got to this America's Talking segment. This is our brand new segment here at Fox News Channel. And we asked emails what you think about the Caylee Anthony thing. Are the parents beginning to turn against their daughter? She's refusing to see them. And now they may be getting a little more suspicious of her actions. I want to bring Molly Lyons in. She's got some emails now, some of your conversations.
Yes, Trace, we actually have a ton of emails that have been flooding in about the case.
Yeah.
This is definitely something that's got America talking, that's for sure. We have Diane from Palm Beach, Florida, who says that the Anthonys are losing faith in their daughter. George lost his temper last week, and that's starting to hinder it, and all the stress is probably eating him up. We've got Lisa from Texas saying they definitely are trying to throw off thoughts that Casey is involved and, you know, it's just a scam and she's not really doing it, although she does pray that Caylee is found alive.
We all do.
And we also have Pat from Middlebury, Connecticut, who thinks that they're definitely losing faith. All the charges against her don't make any sense, and she doesn't want anyone else to become involved in this. Yeah. And then one from Sandra in Mississippi, who does not buy that the grandparents didn't know who exactly the babysitter was, because if it was her 3 kids, they would know a lot more information about them.
Yeah, Molly Lyons, thanks very much. A lot of folks not buying this. You know, a lot of these stories that Casey Anthony has told just really have not rung true, and the cops have checked them out, and each lead kind of leads to a dead end. So let's head up to Patty Ann Brown to talk more about what is going on with the Caylee Anthony case. Patty Ann.
Well, lots of new developments, Trace. 22-year-old Casey Anthony refused a jailhouse visit from her parents this weekend. Casey is currently behind bars, charged with child neglect and lying to cops. She refused to see her brother Lee on Friday and her mother and father yesterday. She failed to report her 3-year-old daughter Caylee's disappearance until weeks after she vanished, according to her own timeline, leaving investigators searching for the toddler with very few leads. And now the Anthonys have hired a psychic to help track down the little girl, among other developments. And let's bring in our legal panel. Peter Johnson Jr. is a Fox News legal analyst. Gary Casimir is a former prosecutor, and Bo Dietl is a former NYPD detective. Gary, let's start with you. Air samples are now being tested. They were taken from the trunk of Casey Anthony's car. Cadaver dogs apparently picked up the scent of decomposition. What could this possibly mean?
Well, I think what they want to do is confirm what they suspect is the idea that there was a body there decomposing, as we know. And the detectives testified during the bail hearing that when he sat in the car, he got the strong sense that a dead person had been in this car before. So with this, they can confirm that. The cadaver dogs can't confirm, in fact, that it was a decomposing body. But supposedly there's a school out in the anthropology department of I think it's a school out in D.C. I'm not exactly sure. But in any event, that school is supposed to be taking the sample and to see if they can measure out if, in fact, it was. I mean, it would lead them to believe, what's a dead body doing in your car if it is confirmed?
Of course. All right, Bo, psychic detectives now involved, hired by the family. You know, I'm a skeptic, but sometimes they actually seem to find things.
No. Let's not get over with this. That was the University of Tennessee with the air sample.
Yes.
We had the Palm Sunday massacre, 10 people killed in Brooklyn. My lieutenant made me sit with this woman who was a psychic. She was the psychic of all psychics. She held up my paperwork to her head, and she says, I'm feeling something. I said, let that door feel the back of your head when you get out of my office. Let's be honest about this. This is all done by real detectives. All these psycho detectives, psychic detectives, whatever you want to call nonsense. Crime scene is one part of it, but the real detectives put all the pieces together with the timelines, then the forensics with the DNA. This is what's going to make the case, not Wahoo, the psychic, or these air samples. I really don't believe that this air sample is that much of a science, which could be fought by the defensive team, saying, well, what kind of cases have you solved? And, you know, it's a beginning of a science. I really don't want to put my money on that. All we have to do is look at what happened. She stated that her daughter was gone around June 6th. Then when they saw the picture with the father on Father's Day, she goes, oh, no, that was the 17th. Lie after lie after lie.
Well, and let's get to one of those that was talked about on Greta Van Susteren's show, On the Record, where the father, George Anthony, spoke with Greta about what was discovered in the trunk of Casey Anthony's car. Let's look at that.
He was hesitant about letting me get in the car. And I said, well, listen, I got an extra key. I'll just go get it. Well, she was adamant about that.
What, not letting you into the car?
Yeah, and they won't let me get into the car to get the stuff out. Dad, I'll get it for you. Dad, I'll get it out. I said, there's no problem. I know where it's at. I'll get it out and be done with it. So as we're walking out through the garage, she's still telling me, Dad, I'll get it. Give me a minute, I'll get it. I said, Casey, I'm capable of reaching inside your car, and I got it. So as she opened up the trunk of the car,
the gas cans were there.
Guess what? I had the gas cans there. She's the one that took the gas can.
All right. Well, Peter Johnson, the beginning of that was where George was saying that he just wanted to get something out of her car. She did not want to let him into the trunk of that car, and you heard what happened next.
Yeah, you know, I find this staggering. I mean, we've got family members giving testimony that if, in fact, it turns out that this young mother was involved with this murder, all of these statements, all of these television interviews, all of these reported press interviews are going to be part and parcel of this case. So I don't really know who's advising whom and what's going on here. But when you hear, and taking up with Bo Dietl's point, when you start hearing there are psychics involved, it also depicts a picture that they don't really have a lot at this point. And in terms of psychics, and I'm sure I'll get email on it, I don't know of one case in America that's ever been solved by a psychic, a murder. I don't think it's ever.
I think the family, I don't think the police. The way I read it, the police didn't bring in, the families bringing in the psych, because I really believe that's a professional. No, I really believe, you know what they're doing? What they're doing now is they're playing into the news media. You've got real detectives there. They're not about to call in psycho to psychic at this point. They want to get a case against them.
Very briefly, back to Peter's point, as a prosecutor, what do you do with these parents who are testifying against their daughter?
Well, for us, it's a dream. If they don't want to stop talking and they want to keep bringing out things that help the prosecution's case, because in the end, what's going to happen here, find the body or not, eventually Casey will probably get charged, especially if they can connect the body of Casey to her car, to Casey to the car of the mother. If they can establish caylee, if they can establish Caylee's body in Casey's car, then they would have an opportunity to bring the case after a certain amount of time where they can no longer find the body, using the statements of a babysitter they could not locate, using a 31-day lapse between the time the child was gone and the time the police, and she didn't voluntarily go to the police.
You know, we're talking murder. We're talking murder here. Maybe there's a possibility she left that little girl in the car, sitting in the seat and back in the car. She get back to the car and the little girl's dead from feet.
Yeah.
You know what?
There is some speculation that there was a tragic accident that was covered up to the extreme, but we may never know what actually happened. But Gary Casimir, Bo Dietl, Peter Johnson, thank you. Trace, back to you.
Yeah, it was the political statement that really rocked the political world. Would Hillary Clinton